just in the restaurant he used to own.
Yeah.
Yeah, Casa Olay.
He owned Casa Olay?
He owned Casa Olay?
He had like a partnership or something with them, and he was.
Oh.
I thought that was Jose Lima.
No, it was Sammy Sosa.
Wait,
but Jose Lima used to be in the commercials.
Really?
Yeah, he was all the Casa Olay, Olay, fresh today, every day, today, Casa Olay, Olay.
Wow.
Dude, I think I might have got him confused with Sammy Sosa.
Yeah, I think you did, because it's Jose Lima. I remember that very well.
Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
Hi, I'm Sammy Sosa.
I'm Brittany Pacheco, and we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to a three-man weave edition of the Watchers in the Basement. Man, George, you totally threw me off. That was a total curveball with the Sammy Sosa.
And an off-camera joke that
we carried
to be on camera. Yeah.
I mean, one day maybe we'll talk about Sammy Sosa. We should. Like he's had a unique life.
The difference between Sammy Sosa and Jose Lima.
Oh yeah. Inside joke.
Inside joke. Yeah.
Very inside. Okay. We're here today once again to talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And we're talking about episode 5, which is titled Truth. And I believe the title comes from a comic that was called Red, White, and Truth.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
Before we kind of get into it, there's a lot of cool big time scenes in this episode, and I think we can kind of get through them pretty succinctly. Let's just go around the room and see what everybody thought about the episode. George, what'd you think about episode 5?
Solid episode again. As always, I don't think Marvel's going to let us down on any of these shows, and I think they've proven themselves by now. But no, it was a good episode. We learned a lot about like what really happened to Isaiah Bradley, what happened to him, and everything that the government did to him, which was super fucked up. Which the whole point of I guess why this episode is called Truth, because that comic book that you mentioned, Jay, was based off of his life, right? Like the one that you were talking about?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's just the story of Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah, exactly. So it made sense for the episode to be called Truth, and we learned a lot, and we definitely learned the truth about everything that happened. What about you, Britt?
Yeah, so kind of just talking about the title of this episode, Truth. I mean, there's a lot of truths that are being faced for many characters here, you know, that of John Walker, you know, we'll talk about that a little bit more. And obviously, truth, Bucky has to face his own truth, and then Sam, of course, as well. So we'll dive more into that in a little bit. But for me, this episode just wasn't as good as the previous week's episode. And maybe that's just because I'm just looking for that action, like that ongoing action, which yes, we did get at the very beginning of this episode. There's certain scenes in this episode that I felt were just a little too dragged out. And again, I'll come to that when we, you know, kind of go through the breakdown. Still a good episode. Don't get me wrong. I was just hoping for a little more since, you know, this is the episode, you know, second to last episode of the season, of course. And so there's a lot to cover. So yeah, I mean, I know, like I said, I wanted to see a little bit more in this episode, but you know, we do have our season finale this upcoming week, and I'm hoping it's going to just be jam-packed with action just because of how the ending of this episode was. So I think it's going to be great. But overall, like, I really do enjoy this series and the story that we're getting, although I feel like the Flag Smasher storyline is maybe not as great as it could have been, but I do understand there were changes because of the pandemic. So anyway, Justin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that, you know, you said that you weren't as, you know, you liked this episode a little bit less than the previous one. I think it's tough for me to rank these episodes. I like them all. I mean, I think like initially when I see them, I'm just kind of like amazed by all of them. But this one, honestly, this one here, like the cameo that came in this episode, I was not expecting at all. Like, and I think it might have been a bigger deal to me than maybe it was to y'all, but it's just like, I mean, who would have thought that Elaine from Seinfeld would be in the MCU? That's just like, that's crazy. But yeah, I thought the opening scene though was awesome. Let's get to that right away. So in the opening scene, you have Walker, and he's haunted by what happened in episode 4, where Lamar is killed, and he kills the flag smasher guy in front of the whole world. They show him running away. He runs to an abandoned, I don't know, what would you call it? Just like an abandoned warehouse, factory or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam and Bunky, they're hot on his trail. They confront him,
Mm-hmm.
and the exchanges here are awesome because Walker says, "Oh, it's time to go to work," and then he's like, "You don't want to do this," and Bucky's like, "Yeah, we do." So the
Mm-hmm.
fight ensues. They're battling over the shield. I thought the action is really cool here. You've got, Bucky and Walker going head to head, and then Walker would knock him away, and then Sam would fly in,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets pretty brutal. We even see like Walker rip Sam's wings off, the mechanical
Mm-hmm.
wings off his suit, and then
all while saying, "I am Captain America," this crazed look on his face. And I'm sure you guys picked this up, but the fact that this is very similar to the fight between Cap, Bucky, and Iron Man, in Civil War. So, whoa, what the hell just happened?
Good catch.
Sorry about that, y'all. I don't know if there's a ghost in my house or something, but like I just saved my laptop, so I'm happy about that. Anyway, what I was saying is the fight scene is very reminiscent of that of a Civil War. You've got 2 super soldiers up against one juiced guy, and the purpose at this point is to get the shield away from John Walker. And so Bucky and Sam are doing whatever it takes to get it away from him. But you'll see that Walker uses the shield not as a shield. He uses it as like a blunt tool to try and kill Sam, which is so unlike what Captain America should be, because Steve Rogers, although he did use the shield kind of in the same way once he was on top of Tony Stark, he used it to smash the hell out of the power chest piece, whatever, in the suit. That way Tony wasn't able to beat them, right? So again, difference between Cap Steve Rogers and Cap John Walker. Steve Rogers would never kill anyone. John Walker obviously has, and he will continue to do so just so he can stay as Captain America and just be a psycho.
Yeah, and he was about to kill Sam when Bucky made the save. Bucky basically breaks Walker's arm, takes the shield away from him, and then drops it in front of Sam as to say, like, "Okay, we're giving you the shield again. This is yours." Mm-hmm. George, what did you think about that opening scene?
Yeah, that was a crazy fight scene. Every time I saw him lift the shield like that, and he was gonna bring it down, because he did it on Bucky too. Like, he was about to smash on Bucky, and Falcon saved him and was able to hit it with his wings, and it flew away. Mm-hmm. And then when he was gonna do it to Sam, I was like, I just kept getting nervous. I was like, because from last episode we just saw him like literally almost decapitate this fucking dude. So every time he lifted it, it was like crazy. But I think it was very important for Sam and Bucky to get that shield because of like what it meant to them and like who it represented, and like that it should not stand for that, especially with what he did with it. He should not have that shield. So it was very important that they did, and they beat the shit out of him. So that was very satisfying. But they barely did it. Honestly, they barely did, because he's fucking strong.
Yeah.
The fact that John Walker at some point, I think when he was fighting Bucky solo, because that was also, again, very reminiscent between Bucky and Steve in one of the earlier films, I guess when they first met in Winter Soldier, it was almost like shot for shot, the same movements, what have you. But John Walker's all like, "Why are you making me do this?" or "Why are you making me do this?" And it's like, wait a minute, who who's making you do what, psychopants? Like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, and he was saying stuff like we could have been a team, and
yeah, he
like,
said that to Sam. We could have been
Yeah.
a team, and and then tries to kill him. Cool. That's what
Yeah.
teammates do. Great.
Right.
Yeah, it was a crazy, opening sequence of, John Walker just getting over what had happened with Lamar's death, and you notice that he's like talking to himself, like, why didn't I listen? And that's kind of reminiscent of when John Walker's parents died. He would still talk to them even though they were gone. So he's kind of showing that same type of coping mechanism, if you will, with Lamar's death. So the dude's just not stable right now, and probably never was and never will be.
So after that scene wraps up, we see Torres comes back. We haven't seen him since, I believe, episode 1. I think we heard him on the phone in episode 2 or 3, but we haven't seen the character. And he's talking with Sam, and he has a pretty good quote where he talks about how Carly's gone, she's really hard to find, and like right now, like there's nothing to do, and so until there's something to do, you do nothing until there's something to do, basically is what he's saying. So
solid advice.
Yeah, solid advice.
It's like, don't worry about something unless you have something to worry about.
Yeah. And the exchange ends with Sam walking away with the shield, and Torres is like, hey, what about the wings? What about these broken wings? And Sam says, keep them. So
take these broken wings. Sorry, I just had to do it.
What's the name of the band?
I don't know.
The singer.
I
think it's Mr. Mister, I believe.
That's hilarious.
The 80s was like filled with like the 80s had more one-hit wonders with like crazy names than any other decade by far.
I believe it. But to your point about the wings.
Mr. Mister? Yeah, okay.
No, not that. But the point about the wings is it kind of maybe foreshadows the fact that, Sam will be Captain America by taking the shield, and then Torres, by keeping the wings, he will become Falcon, because that's who does take up the mantle eventually.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's Mr. Mister. I was right.
Just ignore the fact that what I just said. We're gonna change our podcast to be talking about 80 one-hit wonders. Justin knows everything about it.
Oh, yeah.
I really don't though. I know some, but not 90s. I'm way better at 90s and later on, but 70s and 80s is kind of like my blind spot. Yeah. But I know I was going to mention about Torres too. In the comics, he becomes Falcon, so that was kind of a cool nod to that. I'm not sure if we're going to see that, anytime soon.
No.
Who knows?
Probably
down
not.
the road.
Yeah.
The next scene I thought was really cool. We see Captain America is back in the States, and he's being stripped of his title as Captain America.
Woo!
He has a John Walker makes the point, because they say, we're going to strip you of the title. You won't have any authority. You won't have any kind of like retirement benefits. And this is a guy who, he's risked his life for his country for, 15, 20 years or something. Mm-hmm. And so, he wants to defend himself. And there's the senator who gave him the shield, who took the shield from Sam in the first episode, saying, no, you're done. And once again, we see John Walker with him saying, I am Captain America. It's like he's not giving up on the Captain America thing. But they're saying, like, you're not Captain America. And so Walker storms out of the courtroom.
He kind of loses his mind, though.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking, like, maybe he was going to, like, go off and hurt somebody there. Because, he does have a broken arm, but... Yeah,
you were about to say he has a broken wing, weren't you? You were about to say that.
The song is in my head. It's hooky as hell. It was like one of the biggest hits of the 80s, I'm pretty sure. But no, I don't know. I never really liked that song, to be perfectly honest with you. But
now I know how to annoy you.
But as he's walking away, they say, "Hey, return the shield." And of course, Walker doesn't have the shield because Sam and Bucky took it from him. But then the next part. This is the part that blew me away. We get a cameo appearance by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Were y'all surprised that Elaine from Seinfeld,
I was.
the main character from Veep, is in the MCU?
I was like, what the hell is she doing on this show? And I'm gonna like, I thought I was like, I'm not sure. I thought she was a power broker or something along those. I was like, why the fuck else would like she come out of nowhere and you get a big name actor like to come on this show? So I don't know. Maybe it's her, maybe it's not. I have no idea, but it was very confusing, and but I didn't mind it. And she's like a mysterious character, pretty badass, and she knew everything about him, so she definitely knows shit. So
yeah, she knew everything about everything.
Yeah, she knew he lost the shield. Like, how did she know that he took the serum? Which is crazy.
Yeah,
like no one really knows that. So I don't know. I think she could be the power broker or something. I have no idea, but it did surprise the hell out of me.
What did you think about it, Brittany?
So I never watched Seinfeld or Veep. I do know who Julia Louis-Dreyfus is. I mean, I've seen her in movies and things like that, so I do know who she is. I guess, like Justin, you had mentioned earlier, I wasn't as deeply impacted, by her cameo, but just her performance, albeit like, I don't know, just a few minutes on screen, which is fantastic. I love the blue in her hair. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but I think
it's purple.
Thank you, you're color deficient. But anyway, it's
it's purple.
Pretty sure it's not. Pretty sure I'm the graphic designer here. Anyway.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's the character's known for having a purple streak.
She is not. She is known for having white and black hair. Hence the card that she had given to John Walker's wife. It was blank. It was white on one side, black on another side. It's a nod to her character in the comics. So that being said, I've done a little research on her. She was, for albeit, lack of better terms, a sleeper agent. So she was Nick Fury's lover at some point in S.H.I.E.L.D. And then she was also known as Mrs. Hydra. So she's obviously
Madam Hydra.
Or Madam Hydra, excuse me. But I think she had some sort of acknowledgement in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or that of Agent Carter or something like that. But yeah, I think there's probably still some Hydra people doing their thing, and now I'm curious maybe if the power broker is part of Hydra, and if this woman is in partnership with the power broker, and maybe it is Sharon Carter, maybe it's not. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it is, but I'm really curious to see the direction that this character will have, maybe not in this show, but in like a future show or other movies.
And the character's name, by the way, is Contessa Valentina de Allegra Fontaine, or Val.
Allegra de Fontaine.
Yeah, de Allegra Fontaine, or Val for short. So,
but don't call her Val.
I'll just call her Val. I'm interested to see where this goes. But I did read that she was supposed to make her debut in Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
And Black Widow is supposed to come out before this came out. So I don't know if that means she's in Black Widow, or
maybe.
I would assume that she is, but the way it was written, it was like I couldn't tell if they decided against having her in the film, or if because the film didn't come out ahead of time like it should have. I'm not sure, but I guess don't be surprised if you see her in Black Widow in a few months.
For sure, I think we can confidently say that the MCU is setting up a lot of future projects just from this series alone, as well as WandaVision, obviously with the Young Avengers. Now this with Madam Hydra, if you will. We're probably, this isn't the last time we're going to see these characters at all in the MCU. So that's really cool to think about and look forward to.
But Brittany, I think this is the last time we're going to see Zemo in this series.
I'm very heartbroken about that. Yeah, actually.
So when Zemo escaped in episode 4, everybody kind of wondered, where did Zemo go? Well, he's back in Sokovia. He's looking at the monument after what happened in Ultron, and he's there. Bucky shows up, and kind of what I thought was kind of a funny exchange where Zemo says that he's like, "Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you," and it's like, I'm not sure he could kill the Winter Soldier anyway. And then Bucky basically says, "Okay, the Dora Milaje are here to take you," and they say they're going to take him to the raft. Do y'all remember like what's significant about the raft? Because I wasn't familiar with that.
Just that prison that was in the water. Who was held there? Someone was held there.
It was Sam, Wanda, Clint, Hawkeye, and Ant-Man. So this was during Civil War, when they were all arrested post the airport fighting scene in Berlin, and Thunderbolt Ross took them to that raft, which, as you said, is in the water. And that's where they were going to be in prison. That's where Tony found out the truth about how Zemo was the one who blew up the United Nations, not Bucky. And that's where Zemo is going to go to live the rest of his days, which I thought was kind of interesting. The fact that the Wakandans wouldn't take him either back to the prison that he was in Berlin. I guess not, because he broke out of it, exactly. or even just back to Wakanda. You know what I mean? Like he killed their king.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you would think they'd make him stand trial or something like they wanted to do with that the other guy in the movie in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole thing. They wanted to take him so he can stand trial over there.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. That didn't make sense. But I think it's going to further along the story later on, because I think Zemo's going to be there, and then John Walker's going to end up eventually being there. Something they're going to take his ass to jail. They're going to put him in there, and then. What was it? The General Ross or whatever. Mm-hmm. He starts to what's that shit called? The Thunderbolt?
Thunderbolts.
Oh, yeah. The raft.
The
Thunderbolts.
Oh, the Thunderbolts. Yes, which was led by Zemo. Sorry.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I think that's where that shit starts there.
Mm-hmm.
The Thunderbolts are basically like Marvel's version of Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I believe. Yeah.
Exactly. So they'll have Zemo, John Walker, and let's see, whoever wants to redeem themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sounds like a cool story. Then the final thing about this interaction is Ao tells Bucky, she's like, you know what, stay away from Wakanda for a while.
Yeah.
So I wonder what that means.
But then in turn, Bucky's like, hey, I need a favor from you though.
Right.
Like, what the hell?
Like
you pissed off the Wakandans because you broke out a criminal that killed their king. Yes, you return, or not return, but you give him over to the Wakandans. But it's like, I also need a favor out of you. I don't know. I thought it was just silly.
He just borrowed Zemo. That was it. Who's gonna give him back?
He's like, Zemo? I thought you said Zima. I like lost in translation. Of course I want a Zima. Not a Zemo. Yeah. So moving on, we get Sam goes to Baltimore to talk with Isaiah Bradley. He brings the shield, and it's covered up in that like shield little suitcase deal. And Isaiah sees the shield. He knows what it is, and he's like, leave that shield covered. He's like, those stars and stripes don't mean anything to me. So that was pretty interesting.
I feel like this conversation is like the real crux of the whole episode, because again, going back to truth, being the title, there's a lot of truths that everyone has to face at this point. John Walker has to face the truth that he's not a good Captain America. Thus, he was stripped of the title, right? Sam has to learn the truth about what happened with Isaiah Bradley, what went wrong, and why, he was basically erased from history. And, Bucky will eventually have to face his own truth as well via, Sam. They have a good talk, and the fact that what we learned from Isaiah is that while he was in prison, if you will, his wife died, and she wrote letters that never reached him until a nurse took pity on him while he was being, tested on and what have you. And he really goes on to tell the history about how these men were, part of the, how do you pronounce it? The Tuskegee Airmen.
Tuskegee.
Yeah, thank you. And how 300 were experimented on. They were his brothers, if you will, but like they all started like dying off eventually. And he kind of took like a Captain America approach by freeing, going back in to free these men. And he's like, it didn't mean a damn thing. It didn't make a damn difference because they ended up dying. He was experimented on for not better, but 30 years. And he was declared dead by that nurse who did take pity on him and, again, erased from history. And he's ultimately saying that no self-respecting Black man would want to be Captain America, would want to take on that shield. And Sam kind of gives like this puzzling look, like, how could you say that? But everything that Isaiah is saying, I feel, is exactly what Sam is feeling and thinking. What are your take on that, guys?
George, what do you got?
I think you're right, Britt, that he what he's saying is thinking may be true to an extent, and he is thinking about it, but I don't think he fully agrees with it. Sam, with what he's saying, that no, like he said that no, how did you say it again, Britt?
No self-respecting Black man would want to take on that mantle.
Okay, see, and I don't think that's what Sam's thinking, and he's gonna come to terms in his own way by listening to him. Like he can't be Steve, he can't be Isaiah. He's got to do his own thing, and he's gonna come to that realization and try to like be at peace with himself and do things his own way and change people's minds and people's perceptions of how they see Captain America. And I think that was really like a wake-up call for Sam to talk to him, get the truth, get both sides of everything, and understand everything so he can better do his role in the future as Captain America.
I agree with you 100%. And I think a lot of it too is probably just like a generational gap,
Very true.
My dad, for example, was in Vietnam, and his way of thinking and his perception of things and social issues, what have you, is very different from my opinion on things. And so it's really interesting just to see that older generation mentality versus I'll say younger generation mentality, because while there's still like very similar issues, in this case that of race, I think Sam is still pulling out hope, right? And that symbol also represents some kind of hope, even though it's been tainted, unfortunately. Justin, what are your thoughts on the exchange between Sam and Isaiah?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because you see how basically what Isaiah was put in prison for was the same thing Steve did in First Avenger. Captain America in that movie was he was a puppet. He was in these like promotional plays to sell war bonds and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like he broke out of that because he went to go save these soldiers who were caught up with the Red Skull's crew.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was kind of interesting how, basically Isaiah Bradley did the same thing, but instead of being recognized as Captain America and as a hero, he was imprisoned.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like Sam and Isaiah, I think that Sam understands what Isaiah is saying to him, but I think that Sam also knows that like, I can't do nothing. I've got to do something. I've got to be the one to make the change. It's got to be me. Like Steve Rogers believed in me, and now I've got to believe in myself, and I've got to do this. And so I think that's what this whole show's kind of been about. Has been about his like hero, Sam's journey to becoming Captain America, and the hero's journey. So I thought it was really well done. I think the way they're able to weave in storylines with their movies that they made 10 years ago is pretty impressive. And
sure.
I really enjoyed that part of the episode. From there, Sam he calls Sarah. He says he's coming home. I know you, Brittany, you had some pretty strong thoughts about the whole, being at home, the whole boat storyline. Bucky shows up there and he's, helping out with the boat, kind of flirting with Sarah. What did you think about that part of this episode?
So my main issue with the boat storyline is that from the very get-go, when we do see Sam and we're introduced to Sarah and the livelihood she has in New Orleans with the family boat, she's very adamant about, wanting to sell, and Sam obviously feels the opposite, go to the bank, they get denied. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to fix the boat, and we're going to sell it or whatever. And then it's like, oh no, we're not going to sell the boat. But then there's like this whole big thing about they're fixing it up because Sam was all like, oh, how many people still owe mom and dad a favor? And Sarah's all like, everyone, or all who's left. I'm thinking, damn girl, if you knew that, your family had favors to call in, like, why didn't you speak up or say something? Were you just too proud? Like, okay. What's that?
That pissed me off. I was like, if you could have done this the whole fucking time, why didn't you do it?
Okay. All right. So stay with me here. I agree. Because the fact that, the montage of Sam calling up all these people and they're like, yeah, I remember you. And yeah, anything for your parents, blah, blah, blah. And they start bringing in all like these parts and this and that, what have you. And one particular person, when Sam is talking to saying like, oh yeah, when we heard that Paul and Darlene, I think that's the parents' names, when their kids, the Wilson family needs help, we're gonna be useful. We're gonna be there. And I'm thinking, dude, you knew that they needed help. What the fucking hell? Like, why would you hold out like that?
Yeah.
And
it pissed me off so much.
Now I just thought of this, but like, to me, like when Sam was gone for 5 years because of the blip, that would have been a perfect time for her to call in favors with people, because I mean, like, not only are they in hard times, but also like her brother's gone, like
exactly.
He's a superhero. Like, that's such a crazy thing.
Or we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They could have been gone in the blip too. We have no idea.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think Sarah was, though.
No. I mean, like the people that could have helped.
Oh, I'm sure some of them were.
Yeah, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Fair enough, but still, I'm sure as the hopefully close-knit, community that they are, because Sam will say to Bucky that these are like the most welcoming people and, whatever. It's like, if they knew that her family fell on hard times, like, why wouldn't they just like, get together and help her? She's a single mom, trying to keep the business alive. Ultimately, Justin, I felt that whole thing was just dragged out way too long. That's cool that, when Bucky showed up to offer his help, and yes, I love the, him flirting with Sarah. I thought that was just incredibly charming. And Sam's all like, don't fucking flirt with my sister. Like, I will have someone cut you up and feed you to the fish. It was just like all for naught, because when Sam wants to go and like paint over the boat name, Sarah's like, no, I can't do it. And I'm like, bitch, this is your fault.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just so annoyed by that whole like storyline. I get the idea that they're going for the community and Bucky, trying to help Sam out and what have you, and how, you can't like let this be your defining legacy. Like, I get that. Shorten it, okay? That's all I want.
I enjoyed the bro montage of them fixing that boat.
Yeah.
Very gross, just drinking beers, just trying to fix that boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. And also,
I enjoyed.
What's
Bucky flexing.
Yeah, that's the only thing I enjoyed from that whole scene.
Yeah.
And when Bucky got there, he had a box with him from Wakanda, which I assume that's the favor, right? He had the Wakandans get Sam a new suit. So so hopefully we'll see the suit in the next episode. I feel like we will.
At one point, I was like, damn, did he get him like an engine from Wakanda or something? Like,
I kind of thought the same thing. I was like, is it some kind of like?
Because he had it with all the rest of the parts and shit. Mm-hmm. I was like, damn, they're about to build some badass like boat that can turn into a spaceship.
One thing too, I just thought about it because there's one kind of funny line about when like a pipe is bursting and Bucky comes over to like fix it with the tool.
The
And
hand.
Sam's all like, why didn't you use your arm? He's like, well, I don't think about using this. I'm right-handed, but I'm thinking it got like short circuit during their fight with John Walker. So I wonder like how useful, his hand really could be. But then again, he picked up all that, the parts or whatever off the truck to put it onto the boat. So I don't know.
He kept fighting afterwards in that fight. Like
That's true.
A little bit, and then he still went back to kicking ass.
That's true.
Yeah, that was a funny joke. He's like, well, I'm right-handed. Like, that's pretty cool. I thought that was a good one.
I will say too, the scene where Bucky is like on the Wilson family couch and the boys are like playing with the shield and like whoosh whoosh, this and that, and then he's like, hey, and they're like, oh, put it away. I don't know. I just thought that was really sweet. Yeah, I thought that was a really cute little scene.
That was a cool moment.
Yeah.
Just kind of sticking with Sam and Bucky, what did y'all think about well, first of all, you see Sam training with Bucky on throwing the shield, and then Bucky basically apologized to Sam, saying, hey, I'm sorry I gave you such a hard time about the shield. Like, I know it was a tough thing for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Sam later on training on his own. I thought the training stuff was really cool. What did y'all think about the whole training with the shield in the woods of Louisiana?
I was like, at the whole time, I was like, wow, these pads are the only thing keeping these fucking trees from being destroyed. Like, how is that possible? If it's making a bounce back to, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of silly and funny. But the line that Bucky had said to Sam, he's like, we never thought of what it would be like for a black man to hold the shield. So he must have talked to Captain America. He must have talked to him about it, and they came to the agreement that they would give the shield to Sam. So that's probably why he felt that as well, like so emotional about it when he gave that shield up. So
yeah, Bucky did say that when Steve told me what he was planning on doing, so about, I'm assuming, going back in time to put back the stone, but like to have a life with Peggy, and then ultimately giving up the shield to Sam, that had to be a lot just to consider, right? But the fact that Bucky's like, that shield's like the closest thing I have to a family, now that Steve's gone and what have you. And this is where I was talking about truth. Everyone has to face the truth in this episode. And the fact that, Sam basically saying, that shield is complicated, obviously. And the fact that for a black man to wield that shield is something that's not going to go over, very well, despite the fact of what Steve Rogers wanted. And I think the acknowledgement, Bucky, having to face that truth, I mean, that probably took a lot. But then also for him himself, because he does say that he's still experiencing nightmares. He's still saying like there's a part of the Winter Soldier that's still inside. And Sam basically calling Bucky out on his shit. He's like, you go and say sorry because you think it's going to make you feel better, or you make amends, but you're really just avenging. Like there has to be one person on that list, that little book that you've got that you can be of service to. And I'm pretty sure we can all figure out, who that one person is going to be. I'm pretty sure we're going to see that come next episode, and it can go sideways really quickly. Justin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love the interaction between Bucky and Sam in this episode. It's like they're, I think originally they were just like, they were both, they weren't friends, but they were friends of Steve. And now they've kind of become like buddies, or definitely like
co-workers.
Well, that's what they say, but I mean, you can tell like there's a bond that they've developed. So I enjoyed that part of it. I enjoyed the training stuff. I thought every time they throw the shield, it looks so cool. The way it sounds, the production, the sound design is so cool for the shield.
They kind of do it effortlessly too.
Yeah.
I mean, like the fact that, okay, I'm gonna throw it. If I throw it this direction, it's gonna come back right back to me. But if I throw it this direction, it's gonna bounce here, and go to Bucky. Like, by the way, like, how do you just catch it and like your arm just goes through those straps on the inside of the shield? Like,
impossible. I have no idea.
Right?
Yeah.
But it is a cool effect. obviously. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it
don't
looks
know.
really cool.
It
Is it like
does.
a fucking boomerang? Like how does it come back to them?
I don't know. It does have like a boomerang effect to
I
it.
think was it in Age of Ultron that when Cap would throw it, it had like magnets or something, that way when he threw it, it would like come back to him or something like that. I want to say something along those lines.
He had, like bare arms. He didn't have anything.
No, but he would have like, his
Oh, I'm talking about Sam.
oh well, yeah, you're right. I have no idea. Don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a mystery. But his whole training sequence, of, I guess, almost kind of like a nod to Steve when they first met, while they're running. Yeah. And at one point, Sam is like running around the house or whatever, sees his nephew, and he's like, all day, that's like, I can do this all day kind of thing.
They call him Uncle Sam. And
yeah.
That's so
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, that's but that was, do you think Anthony Mackie is able to do all of that type of, spinning on the ground kind of thing, and like, barreling in the air, that kind of stuff? Like, or do you think maybe that's double?
I think they have a double for some of that stuff. I'm sure. Like the flipping in the air and stuff. I don't think that he's.
Oh, that dude's pretty ripped, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, he's definitely in really good shape. But I'm sure they have people that
don't want him to get injured.
Yeah. Yeah, because if he gets hurt, then the whole show is shut down for a while. So,
I mean, to do all that in the air and then like try to catch the shield at the same time, like dude's gonna die.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
So we see Walker goes and visits Lamar's family, the grieving family, and it's a good scene, but the mother is really laying it on thick about how like. She's like, Lamar would be, not necessarily happy would be the word, but he would be relieved to know that at least like the person who killed him, saw justice or whatever. And of course, the whole time Walker's lying to the family because, the guy he killed was not the person who killed Lamar. It was Carly. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a pretty, interesting storyline for Walker,
so not only did he fuck up once because he killed the wrong flag smasher, he fucked up obviously by the whole world seeing, him killing a foreigner, and then fucked up again by going to the parents, lying to them, saying, yeah, I got the man that, killed your son. It's like, you're in deep, dude. I mean, the fact, I'm sure he has to feel some type of way of knowing that it wasn't the guy that killed Lamar, it was Carly, obviously. So, but on top of that, I want to talk really quick about Sharon Carter. What the fuck, y'all? What is happening to my girl? Like,
she's a villain for sure. I don't know if she's the power broker, but she's a bad guy.
Man, I mean, just the fact that she's calling up, Batroc, who's played by Georges St. Pierre, which I thought was great that he's going off on her in French. And she's kind of like just being like, are you done? Like, quit being a bitch. Like, I've got an offer for you. I can double it. You won't regret saying yes. And then we ultimately see Batroc again, but this time approaching Carly and one of the other flag smashers in New York. He's bringing like a suitcase of bombs and I don't know, some other type of explosives, and basically saying like, I'm not here for your movement. Like, I'm here for Falcon. I'm here to kill the Falcon.
Right.
And I'm all like, Sharon Carter, what are you doing? Now, I know my man Sam Wilson has not followed through about getting you pardoned. Mm-hmm. Sam, you need to get going on that. I'm just saying, don't make a promise you can't keep.
I'll bite him in the ass next episode.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. But damn, I mean, Sharon, what has happened? Now, going back to that of Val, because I did read somewhere that Val and Sharon Carter like teamed up and did like something to do with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was like femme something. I'm gonna pull it up real fast. But anyway, they kind of know each other and they work together. So I'm thinking, if let's say Sharon's the power broker and then Val's like working with the power broker, are they like affiliated with Hydra? like Hydra's like just never going away kind of thing. That's a really bad look for them, y'all. Like really bad.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Sharon's definitely a villain. I mean, we'll see what I'm sure. The next episode we have to find out who the power broker is, right? Unless there's a season 2, which I think there might be a season 2 of this, but nothing's been announced. As the episode kind of gets toward the end, you see, the Carly's crew attacks in New York. They attack the GRC. Obviously the finale is going to lead up to Sam going to New York, possibly in his new Captain America suit that what the Wakandans built him. Do we think that? Do y'all think Bucky's going to be in the finale?
Yeah,
of course.
You think so?
Sure.
Well, my reasoning is because I'm assuming that the one name in that book that Bucky has is of Yuri, the old man that we saw at the very beginning of the show.
Okay.
Bucky would have lunch with, and is ultimately the father of the young man that Bucky killed as the Winter Soldier. So I think he's going to go and probably admit to him, which puts him back in New York. And once he gets wind, either by Sam or on his own, that the GRC is being taken hostage by the Flag Smashers or whatever, I mean, he's going to come in and, team up again with Sam, and, all hell's going to break loose for sure.
Yep, that's spot on, Rick.
That's just, yeah, that's what I think.
Like, how the fuck did these Flag Smashers get into the United States when they're the most wanted people like on Earth right now? I know people help them and shit, but there's no way. Like, whatever. I guess
Exactly.
Wherever the fuck they want.
Exactly. Like you go from Eastern Europe all the way to the East Coast of the United States.
But yeah, getting to the United States is a lot crazier. I don't know. Whatever. I'll let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that storyline, it's kind of been on the back burner for me the whole season. Like, I haven't really cared about that part of it. To me, like, the Walker shield, new Cap, that stuff's been more important to me than that stuff.
But I think it's because of what Brittany said, that they had to rewrite it because of
right.
Stuff. I'm sure it would have made a lot more sense with what they were going, like what they were going to do with them and stuff.
Yeah, because the original vision for the show, there was going to be a virus in the show. Yeah. And I think that the Flag Smashers were going to be part of spreading the virus, but also providing the vaccine to people that they wanted to save. And they had to scrap that, obviously, because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And not wanting to have something like that, because I think the virus was going to originate from an Asian country or an Asian island, even though it's, even though it's, in this case, it would have been fictitious because it's going to be Madripoor. I think that was the plan. So, that storyline just hasn't really, good point by you, George. I didn't even think about that because it's just such the back burner that I'm not even really concerned with it. I just want to see the fact they're superpowered. I love that part of it, but otherwise, like, I just don't really care.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In that aspect, it's a little bit of a weak storyline. I mean, Carly at one point when they came back into that refugee camp in Latvia, she says, how many more of us need to die, for us to be recognized as citizens of this world, basically. And so that's kind of just like what they've been using as their whole mission.
It's also not super clear, like, how many of them are super soldiers?
I don't think she means them like as super soldiers. I think she means like just people who.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand that part. I just wish we knew, like, how many of her crew, her inner circle, have the serum and have the power. Is it like 10?
Well,
is it
I think it was 8, but then they're down 2 because there was that one guy that died in like the earlier episodes with the power brokers people, and then the second dude that died by John Walker.
But then there were others who were being arrested in this episode, like in the early parts. They show people. So I mean, I don't know if those were people who were
probably just regular ass people.
I think they were regular people. Yeah, I think the Flag Smashers all stick together.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's a little bit of a weak storyline, but maybe it'll come together once with this GRC hostage situation, because they're meeting in New York to vote on about the refugee aid and what have you. And I thought it was really interesting that the senator had said something about, the right people, will vote on this or some bullshit like that. I'm like, really? Who are those right people? Huh? Like, come on, man, it's a crazy world that they live in. It's also a crazy world that we live in. But anyway,
Exactly.
so go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So the episode ends with Sam opening the box from Wakanda. And of course, we don't get to see the reveal. That'll be next week. But I did want to point out that this episode did have a mid-credit scene where we see John Walker is creating his own shield.
His own
yeah.
Well, he's using his medals to kind of decorate his shield. Because as we learned in this episode, he was stripped of everything, as a result of his actions abroad. And I mean, he literally cannot let go of that shield, which I think is insane.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I do understand partially like why he's so upset though, because I mean, he does have a point when he was saying to them, like, y'all made me. Like, I've followed your rules for years. I've done everything you said. I, did all the training. You created this monster. And
but they didn't make him take the super soldier serum.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. And they didn't make him kill that dude.
But you know what though? They didn't have the serum to dole out. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they had it, I bet they would have used it on him, or they would have encouraged him or something, or that would have been the reason why he was chosen.
So I have a question. Val made it clear that she knew that he took the super soldier serum. How many other people know that he took the serum at this point?
Sam, Bucky, Val, Ice. I mean, maybe everyone does because of how he killed that flag smasher.
But does the government know? I mean, does that senator, the council, do they know? Does his wife even know? Well, I'm sure she knows at this point, but
I think they have to have an idea. What's that, George?
I said she had said that. Val said that right in front of him.
Yeah, she did. You're right.
Yeah.
And Val obviously had said to John Walker, like, that's the second best decision you've made, well, tied with marrying this, firecracker next to me. But the first will be, answering my phone calls. So it's like, you're mine, bitch, and, don't worry about the shield. It's a legal gray area. The government really doesn't own it. So I guess in his mind, that's like, well, if the government doesn't own that shield, I'm just going to, do my own thing and still be Captain America. And I was very much reminded as soon as I heard that hammering, it was very reminiscent of Tony, in the cave, hammering away, making his suit, and John Walker's hammering away, making his own shield. And it's like, Tony, he used his powers for good, and John Walker, not so good. So not going to be great.
Yeah, although there may be a shot at redemption with the Thunderbolts. Potentially. I don't know.
I do not have high hopes.
I like the idea of it though. It's kind of a cool potential storyline.
Me too.
So there we have it. We've talked about episode 5. Episode 6 is next week, the finale. Do y'all have any predictions for the finale?
Other than, like I said, Bucky will be back in New York. Hopefully he will actually make amends with Yuri. I don't think he's actually going to make amends, but I think he will own up to the reality of, I made mistakes as a Winter Soldier. Shit's going to go down at the GRC. I don't know if Carly is going to survive per se. I still obviously am very interested to find out who Power Broker is, if it's Sharon Carter or if it's Val. I don't think it's Val though. And what kind of conclusion there will be with Sam wielding the shield, of course, is that something the government's going to allow, or he's just going to be like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna do my own thing. And of course, John Walker, how is he going to, fit into all this? Although I would like to see a fight between John Walker and Batroc, just saying. George?
My predictions is I think we're going to see Sam wield the shield and he'll take the mantle of Captain America. Probably not in the beginning of the episode, but towards the very end, he's going to do things his own way. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he's not as Captain America. Who knows? Like, but he's gonna use the shield. I think John Walker's gonna end him in prison with Zemo somehow. Some they're gonna catch his ass. They're gonna throw him in jail. I don't know what he's gonna fight for though. Like, cause I really don't really have an idea of what the fuck he's fighting for, or what his purpose is. So, and I still have no clue. So I'm curious to see what he does that's gonna get his ass in trouble, which we know something's gonna get him in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Carly's storyline, I'm not sure. She'll probably die or something. I don't really care about that storyline.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what's going to happen with Bucky and Sam, and that's pretty much all I care about. And Sharon Carter, and find out who the fuck the power broker is, because I'm very confused, and I want to find out. What about you?
I think we'll find out who the power broker is. I agree with you about Sam. Sam's going to become Captain America. He'll have the shield. Outside of that, I'm not really sure what we're going to see. I don't like. You had a good point. Like with Walker, it's like he's, it's like he wants to be the hero, but like he's not. I mean, they've given up on him. Obviously, he's not cool with Sam and Bucky. Like he's kind of a man without a country. So it is interesting to see how he gets involved and how he,
well,
what
he
does.
He did say that they just don't know what it takes to be captain. They just don't know at all. Like,
yeah,
like he fucking knows. Like, really, come on.
Well, I mean, I think he had some idea after what all went down. I mean, I think even he would acknowledge that he's not Steve Rogers, but
Clearly.
but like I said, his storyline's not as important as Sam. So I'm really interested to see the suit, how he becomes Captain America, and like he's not going to become Captain America in the way that like they're going to have a parade for him or declare him Captain America. Yeah. He's going to be Captain America because he's Captain America, and like there's going to be no like they won't dispute it after it happens because he'll save New York or save whatever and become the new Cap. So
agreed.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brittany, last thoughts, final thoughts.
I want to say that with Sam opening the trunk from the Wakandans, that he saw a vision of himself being Captain America, much like how Wanda saw a vision of becoming the Scarlet Witch when she saw the Mind Stone. It was just that clear and just that bright. No,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see what the suit is going to look like. If it'll be a combination of Falcon and Captain, or just strictly, Captain, or hell, maybe they put a Black Panther spin on it. I don't know, but I'm really excited to see what it'll look like.
Okay, and we won't have to wait too long because the next episode's only in a few days. So, and we'll be back next week to talk about the finale.
Yep.
But in the meantime, let's move on to a new another Marvel property that's coming down the pike in September. We got the first teaser trailer for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, it looks like it should be pronounced Shang-Chi, but every time I've heard Kevin Feige talk about it, he says Shang-Chi. So I would assume Kevin Feige knows. What did y'all think about the trailer, George?
I thought it was badass. I sent it to y'all. I was like, Justin, have you seen it? I sent it to y'all in the chat. No, it looked like a solid trailer. I mean, I don't know shit about these characters. I don't know anything. The 10 Rings or whatever, does that have to do anything with that show with the Iron Fist and shit on Netflix? Didn't they mention it in there? No.
So the 10 Rings was the terrorist group from Iron Man. They were the ones who had kidnapped Tony. And even with Ben Kingsley's character as the Mandarin, that was also supposed to be something in relation, but this is hopefully really going to delve into the storyline of the 10 Rings, because we've never got it.
Gotcha. I was like I said, I have no idea about any of these characters, but I mean the cast looks cool. There's what's her name, Aquafina? Is she
I love Aquafina.
Yeah, so I'm
she's
sure
great.
there's a comic relief in this movie. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen in this movie. Get a new like storyline of characters we have no idea about, and I'm sure it's gonna be good. Marvel doesn't let us down. So
Yeah.
what about you, Britt? What do you think of the trailer?
I think you wrapped it up really nicely, George. I mean, it looks good. I mean, again, like other than the fact that the Ten Rings was the terrorist group from Iron Man, I know nothing about the storyline. I don't know anything of the characters. I'm just really interested to see what this movie is going to offer and how that's going to, work in this new what is it? We're in stage 4, phase 4.
Phase 4, yeah.
So how all that's going to kind of like tie in together. So yeah, I can't wait for that to come out. And is it solely just coming out in theaters, or is it going to do theaters and Disney?
I think it's only theaters for right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Black Widow's the only one that's going to be in theaters and on Disney Plus at the same time.
Unfortunately.
For a additional fee.
I will pay it.
Yeah, I will too. I'm gonna make a prediction. I think that this movie will be the second billion-dollar film of the year.
Okay.
And I'm saying even in the pandemic.
Okay.
Now, you might say, okay, what's going to be the first billion-dollar film? Well,
oh my God, here we go.
That's easy because the next trailer we're going to talk about, Fast 9, the Fast Saga, is going to make $1 billion worldwide. Yeah. Dom Toretto's brother is John Cena. Take my money right now. Take it, Universal. If you want it, I've got it. I'm giving it up. Like, I want to see this. This is going to be the movie. Like, I will go back to the theaters to watch this movie because I have no other choice, but I will. I'm going to watch Fast 9 in the theaters.
Oh my God.
What did y'all think about the latest Fast 9 trailer?
I thought it was ridiculous, but I'm still going to watch it. I don't know. John Cena as his brother, dude. Come on, man. Come on. They look like
the resemblance. You don't see it? Come on.
Even close at all. Nothing alike. Anyways, yeah, I'm curious to see what the fuck they talk about, like, because he's so big about family and he abandoned his brother. But Charlize Theron is in the movie again, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's still the bad guy or whatever.
Yeah, she's working with John Cena. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So here's what confuses the shit out of me. How is Han still alive? Or is this before Han died?
No, this is after. This is a new thing. This is moving forward.
After.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but are they flashbacking to where Han is,
No, I don't think so.
Because, okay, keep in mind, they all thought that Letty was dead, but she really wasn't. So
I mean, they made Han die not once, twice in these fucking movies. He died in Tokyo Drift. The second time we see him die, Jason Statham literally fucking throws like something like and fucking make sure that he's dead when he checks in the car or whatever, and then it fucking blows up. He was right there.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's still the same like sequence. Like he, it was they were racing in Tokyo and what have you. I get what you're saying, but
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just saying, look.
I don't see how the fuck they explain this.
Right, I know. But they all thought that Letty was dead, right? She came back. She had like no memory whatsoever. So maybe it's going to be the same bullshit again. But hell, let me say this. If they can bring back Senator or Chancellor Palpatine without a real explanation, any movie can do it.
No, they'll make some kind of sense. I mean, I agree with you, George. It's ridiculous, but I mean, it looks like
my favorite character. I'm glad he's back, but what the fuck?
Are they going to bring back Gal Gadot? I mean,
I don't think so.
We never saw her die. Like, she just fell out of an airplane.
No, didn't she fall? Like, wasn't she like on the like a car or something?
Whatever. Like, she fell.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she let go. I mean, and then you saw her like just disappear.
Body part, whatever. She could still be alive too, dude. I'm not.
Well,
she comes back as Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Han gets one wish and he brings her back that way.
That's exactly what happens.
Damn.
I think what it is maybe they can't explain the Han thing, but they don't care because they're going to space in cars. Like it looks like they're going to be in space in a vehicle. So,
Are they going to Hollow Earth?
No.
God, I hope not.
Yeah.
That would be awful. You know, my favorite thing about this movie coming up is the fact that so John Cena is, you know, the bad guy. By the end of the movie, he'll be at the barbecue with the family at the end.
I agree.
It always happens. Like Jason Statham, you know, killed Han, then like, you know, then he's like kind of buddies with Shaw, you know, with Hobbs and
yeah.
So The Rock agreed not to ever be in a movie with Vin Diesel anymore, right?
I don't think they're ever going to be in the movies together again.
Ever.
So that's why like The Rock will have his Hobbs and Shaw franchise to go opposite of the Fast saga.
That's crazy. How big you can be, like how big of an actor you can be to not even your own movie franchise, dude, and just steal it from someone else. Just make your own fucking movies. That's crazy.
So,
that is crazy.
I remember seeing a scene where Dom is like looking at like a video of Brian with his son and what have you, and like so you know Mia's coming back into the movie. How the fuck are they gonna explain all that? Like this is what I've been saying for years. They should have ended this whole damn franchise after Paul Walker died. Like they absolutely should. Like, how do you go on and explain
Brittany,
these things?
You know what? Money. That's why they make money.
Yeah,
these are like super successful. This is like one of the most successful franchises in all of movies.
Yes, I'm fully aware of that. But what I'm saying is for continuity and shit, like, you know,
this is way too far. This is not even
way too much,
movie, right?
Well, no, you said that Vin Diesel's son was going to be in the Fast and Furious.
No, but there's two more movies coming. There's two more because they're gonna. It's going to be a part 1, part 2. Not this like Fast 10 is going to be 2 parts, so it's going to be Fast 11.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So is it going to be like Fast 10 and then Fast 10 and a quarter mile?
It might be.
That's good.
It might be.
They should have split up these movies into quarters. Just saying. I mean,
maybe they will.
God,
hey, I'm excited.
If they make a mini series out of this, or just like a or did they ever make a TV series out of this? I don't think they did.
No, there's an animated series on Netflix. Yeah.
No, it needs to end.
What's that?
So speaking of animated, Justin.
Oh yeah, so good transition there. Me and George, we watched episode 6 of Invincible. George, what'd you think about this? We're getting toward the end of the season. There's only 2 more episodes left. What'd you think about episode 6?
There's only 2 left. Fuck, I'm kind of bummed. I feel like there was a lot of advancement in this episode. The wife finally figured shit out and figured out that her husband maybe like is not as innocent as he says he is.
Yep.
Which what's crazy to me is that like she could have took the suit, or anybody could have took the suit and like analyzed it like the suit maker did.
Right.
And figured out exactly who did what. Like, why the fuck didn't they figure that out? They had a suit.
Yeah.
Like the government or Cecil or whoever the fuck those people were, they had the suit in their possession. And they didn't think to like analyze it like they did. That shit was crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, she flat out knows that he killed the Guardian. What are they called? The Guardians of the Globe, or Guardians of the Globe. Yeah, she knows he killed them. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't understand why the government couldn't have figured that out, or why they didn't, or like why did he keep the suit? Like, what was the reasoning behind that? Like, he has another suit. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It made no fucking sense.
Sentimental value.
But I do like how the suit maker is it's Mark Hamill is the suit maker.
The suit maker.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that when I first watched the episode.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that he was in the first episode, was he?
I think he was.
Who made Mark's suit?
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He did.
Okay. Well, I mean, Brittany, you're on episode 1. I'm on episode 6. I'm moving on. Like,
listen.
it's hard to keep up with this. I mean, we're a little over 2 months until Fast 9. So like the fact that I'm even on the show talking about anything else is amazing.
Right. I'm going to make you talk about something else though. So.
Yeah. The part about this episode that annoyed me though is the secret identity from the girlfriend.
Yeah, that it's pointless too. Like
it's gotten to a ridiculous level because it's like he should just tell her that he is invincible. Because I mean, like it
solve all of his problems.
It would solve, but it would just make sense because all this bad stuff is happening not only to him but around him, like to his friends and stuff, and like to me, it's weird how quickly they just move on with what's going on in their lives. Like,
yeah,
like what happened in this past episode? Like, you know, they go to this college with his friend and this guy that he, you know, is interested in, who's in college, and that guy is turned into a cyborg. You know, like
they just move on.
They just move on. It's like, wouldn't you have questions like, hey, what happened to Johnny or whatever his name was? Like, it's just so like, I don't know. I had a problem with that.
I agree.
That's how I felt about Game of Thrones.
Yes.
You know, what was cool though is in this episode we had 2 more famous people join the voice cast. We had Ezra Miller, the Flash himself. He was the villain in this week's episode, and
He's
then
great.
the guy that what's that?
Justin Roiland was on the episode too.
Oh yeah, he was too.
It was he even did the Rick and Morty, like he did the thing where he belches and shit, like
right.
Like Rick, he literally talked like him in that episode. So
that's
that was
funny.
cool.
And then we also had Jonathan Groff, who's from Hamilton. Brittany, you know him from Hamilton.
You'll be back soon. You'll see. I
Exactly.
love him.
So George,
Fantastic.
he played the jock boyfriend who gets turned into a cyborg.
Jock boyfriend.
The guy, you know, the guy. I can't think of the character's name, but
what's this guy's name?
Jonathan Groff. He's from Hamilton.
He played King George
in Hamilton. Yeah.
In Hamilton. He's been in some other things. I think he's been in a series.
I don't know who that is, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool. And
sorry.
I mean, I like that song too, but I didn't know it. I like when he was talking, I didn't know who it was. But you know, the one cool thing about Amazon is there's that X-ray thing where
I love that.
I hit that. I look at that thing all the time. So
that is genius. I love that they do that, and they even put like the songs that are playing in the background and everything. That's
yeah,
so cool.
That's helpful.
That.
Yeah, the music's really good on this show. It's
Yeah.
I mean, they're paying for like legit stuff that, you know, it's pretty cool. And
it's a pretty great show. I like it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Frank's hooked on it, so he fucking loves it too.
Yeah, I like it. There's just some of the, like the whole secret identity thing. It's reached its end, you know, like
much like Fast and the Furious.
Oh my gosh. Reach its end.
So speaking of reaching the end, we're at the end of the show, and there's one more thing to talk about, and that's Zack Snyder's, not the Justice League,
oh my God,
but the Army of the Dead, which is coming to Netflix next month. It is a zombie movie. Looks like it's set in Las Vegas. Did y'all watch the trailer, and what did y'all think about it?
I did not watch the trailer, but I remember sending you the trailer because it was Zack Snyder, and I was like, oh, Justin's gonna lose his fucking mind.
It looks really cool. It stars Dave Bautista. It was supposed to star Chris D'Elia, but Chris D'Elia got replaced. I mean, he was in the movie. They reshot his part.
Oh, wow.
They replaced him with Tig Notaro, another comedian, but a female comedian. So kind of weird how they did that. But
that's crazy.
So I gotta say, like, I wasn't really interested in watching the movie after they got rid of Chris D'Elia, but the trailer was really cool. And like the zombie tiger was like, oh, that's a nice touch. Y'all should check that out in the trailer.
I'll check the trailer out.
Yeah.
Nope. Nope.
Well,
Not into
give it a
zombie
shot.
movies. I've never.
I agree with you. I'm not either. I've never been into zombie stuff, but this movie looks cool.
Yeah, like I won't. I've unfortunately have watched some of the Resident Evil movies. Don't follow the storyline at all. But like that, I don't do Walking Dead. I don't do like Zombieland, even though I think that's more of a comedy. But like, I'm not into zombies. Like that's why this is the reason why I didn't watch Game of Thrones for the longest, because that opening scene where it's the White Walkers, they look like fucking zombies. I'm like, nah, I'm good, So I respectfully decline.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll watch the movie, but I am gonna watch Mortal Kombat this Friday.
Woo!
Oh, that's right, Mortal Kombat. Yeah, this Friday.
They do on Thursdays now. Like I watched the Godzilla movie on Thursday night, so I'll probably watch that Thursday.
Oh, so it comes out on Thursday night? I thought it was the 23rd.
Yeah, I think it's the 23rd, but sometimes they preview it at like, if you like, same with the
The boys
at night. They play
okay.
late at night, and you can watch it on there.
Because see, like with Justice League, they didn't do that.
So one other thing I want to talk about real fast before we wrap is George. I finally got Justin to watch BBC Sherlock.
Oh, nice.
Finally. And yeah, so tell us your thoughts, Justin.
So I watched the first episode. I liked the first episode. And it reminded me of at some point when I was a kid, I guess I was in high school, I had to read The Hounds of Baskerville for some reason. And so like, I mean, I haven't thought about Sherlock Holmes honestly since then. And so I was like, oh yeah, I kind of liked the book. It was kind of cool. So I watched the first episode. I enjoyed the first episode, but then it made me curious about what about the Robert Downey Jr. movie? There's two movies. Mm-hmm. So I watched the first one on Netflix. I really enjoyed the movie. Mm-hmm. I need to get back to the series, but there's a second movie and it's actually on HBO Max. And so I might watch the second movie first and then get back to the series. But I like the series. It's good. I mean, you were right, Brittany. Like Benedict Cumberbatch talks very quickly and there's a certain pace you have to get used to. But once you get used to it, it's a good show. I like it.
Always keep the captions on.
Oh yes. Yeah. I do that anyway, but yeah.
No.
So I'm glad you finally have decided to watch it, because we recently found out that for sure BBC Sherlock will be leaving Netflix come mid-May, which is heartbreaking to me. Now that means, what's that?
I said Justin better finish before then.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think if I watch an episode a day, I should be okay.
The first and second season are my favorite. It was solid.
Okay.
Then the ending kind of I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there are some issues when it gets towards the end. But I was telling Justin, because he had asked when was the first season, premiere or whatever, and I couldn't remember off the top of my head. But I think, George, if I'm right in saying this, it was like 3 episodes a season. Then they take like a 3-year hiatus or 2-year hiatus, and then they come back. Yeah. So I did also tell Justin that the second episode for season 1, I think it's called, actually, I don't even remember what it's called, but it deals with like a circus, coming to London. That's not their strongest episode, in my opinion. But Moriarty in this series is fan-fucking-tastic.
He's my favorite character in this show.
He is just phenomenal. So, but yeah, really quick with the Robert Downey Sherlock adaptation, I thought he was great. In many ways, he kind of reminded me of that of like Tony Stark, because he's like a genius, he's clever, and he's whatever. Two very different adaptations, of course, but I personally prefer the first Robert Downey Sherlock Holmes over the second. George, have you seen the Robert Downey Jr.'s?
I haven't seen those movies. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
if you get a chance to watch it.
Yeah, the first one's on Netflix until like April 30th, so it's about to be gone.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one's on HBO Max right now. I'll probably end up watching that tonight because I'm interested to kind of cap that little 2-film story arc.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, the villain in the first Sherlock Holmes movie, I thought was kind of cool because, again, someone who died, spoiler, someone who died, and then it's like brought back, and it's like, what? Yeah. But this actually gives a good explanation about it. So it's good.
And the villain is played by Mark Strong, who it's a Warner Brothers movie, and he plays a lot of Warner Brothers movie villains. He's the villain in this movie. He's the villain in Green Lantern. He's the villain in Shazam. So all Warner Brothers properties.
He is not a villain in Kingsman. He's just a Scottish man who loves to sing Country Road. And he loves a Kentucky Fried Chicken. Anyway, in case you guys have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I think that's going to do it for us for this week's episode of The Watchers in the Basement. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can just simply search The Watchers in the Basement. For YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and to like our latest video. You can leave a comment as well. We'll be sure to hit you back up and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to find out the latest episode from us. If you're not into video podcasts, that's cool. We are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts from, thanks to anchor.fm. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating, because that helps us out a lot. And, let's be kind, y'all. We're, not a large podcast, but we are a proud one. And last but not least, help grow our audience. Be sure to tell others about this podcast, share, and use the hashtag Watchers Basement on Twitter, letting us know what it is that you liked for us to review next.
Thanks, Brittany. So for Brittany, for George, this is Justin signing off. We'll see you next week as we talk about the finale. Hopefully, I think the season finale, but maybe the finale overall of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So see y'all next week. We're out of here. Bye.